Hey, this is William for attackofthefanboy.com, and this is Destiny. I don't even know what the name of the expansion is. Holy shit.
Rise of Iron.
Oh, fuck. It just slipped my mind. Which is fucking crazy because this footage that we are watching, I took playing at Bungie in their little testing area as we're doing a preview for the game.
That sounds pretty cool. What was their setup like?
It was like an office. I don't know. It seemed like little cubicles, kind of. But yeah, it was definitely interesting or cool to be at Bungie. I've seen pictures of inside Bungie. We didn't get to go tour around too much. It was a lot of just like hands-on, and we were there all day, and we played through a lot of Rise of Iron. However, today we are only looking at a couple of aspects of the Rise of Iron expansion. This is the first mission in the story, in the new story component.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with how Destiny's been kind of breaking out their expansions, they, do new stories for or add to the story that was at launch. This Rise of Iron is kind of, I don't know if you're familiar with the Iron Banner.
The Iron Banner, yes. I'm familiar with it from writing about it, but I haven't played it. I know it's where they take away most of your level abilities, right? Or your level advantage.
Right. So it's the Lord Saladin is like, it's the story revolving around him and that little aspect of Destiny, and they kind of flesh that out in a kind of a meaningful way. But if you've played these expansions, at this point, I guess you kind of know what you're getting from an expansion with Destiny. This is not going to be like a huge deviation from what we've seen in other releases.
Did they bill it as that, or?
No, not really.
No?
But,
Okay.
There's two types of people in this world. People who like Destiny and people who don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that are like, there's people that are going to say about this expansion that is not enough story content for them.
Yeah.
I know some people have been like, oh, it only took me 2 hours to get through the story. This is shitty in the other expansions.
Yeah. Which, they are charging a pretty premium price for these expansions.
I don't think Destiny has billed itself as a single-player game at any point.
But it billed itself as a story game, I think initially, and I think at this point, most people who are still playing especially understand Destiny is not the Star Wars massive universe spanning story that they maybe promised before the game came out.
It very well may turn into that. They are fleshing out these stories, but it is bit by bit. This is such a small side note on like the main story that, or who knows? Maybe they're going a different route. I am not. It's hard to tell at this point where the story of Destiny is. They have so many vague concepts in it that fleshing out some of these little things are kind of nice, but. There's also going to be those people, as you can see, as we're kind of like going through this level, there are a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're
still fighting the same enemies, it seems.
Well, yeah, in this part you are. But you are going to encounter some variations. There's a brand new level. This is in an area that's on the Cosmodrome, so it's still on Earth. That's where the new main location is. It's called the Plague Lands, and it's a place where this new enemy type, are. It's called the House of, or it's not called a house. It's the new enemy types are called the Splicers.
Okay.
So they look exactly like...
It's a Bioshock crossover?
Not quite.
They took the Fallen?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound like an idiot. Go ahead and skewer me in the comments, but I'm way out of Destiny. So,
Yeah,
so they
well,
just kind of took them in.
basically every Fallen house has these splicers.
Okay.
And these are hackers and engineers. They meld like organic flesh and machine, and they're loyal to these devil splicers. What they're called are loyal to the House of Devils, and they've kind of come across this technology called Siva, and the Iron Lords were trying to battle these things, and that's how Lord Saladin comes into play. So basically, I can't really go into too much detail about the story because of an embargo, but Bungie's pretty much laid out at least, what the new area is, what these Devil Splicers are, a little bit about the Iron Lords, and kind of the backstory a little bit. But there's some cool spots in the story. However, you are going to be fighting these enemies that kind of look the same. They have a lot of the same characteristics, although they might have different weapons and they might have some different attack timings, and a lot of it does feel pretty familiar.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I I try not. I'm trying not to be too negative because I'm known as a downer on Destiny. But
you were the person who wanted. You were the type of person that did want that story. You kind of threw it away after just a little bit, right? I mean, you weren't too involved in it.
Finished the main story.
We just got done saying you just got done saying in another video that we did that you aren't a fan of loot mechanics, and that's all that this game is.
Yeah.
It's about getting new loot, building your character, and having fun with this core gameplay loop of shooting. And it is great still in that regard. I mean, I still have a ton of fun playing this game just for the shooting mechanics and the character building and progression. When you start adding all the things like multiplayer strikes and daily challenges and weekly challenges and all that stuff into the equation, that's where I think you get your value out of Destiny, is in staying with it, playing those weekly things, even if they are something that you continue to do over and over.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of challenge in the game. I mean, if you start doing these nightfall strikes and the really hard missions to earn the new gear, it can be quite challenging and quite rewarding for finishing it.
So I mean, you brought it up. You kind of have to. You're gonna probably play these missions over and over again, because that's just kind of what Destiny is built on, is that grind.
Yeah, as it grows, you're going to. I mean, there's a much wider, breadth of things to do in Destiny now than there was when it launched.
Yeah. But what I'm asking is, from what you've experienced of Rise of Iron so far, at least in the story section that we're seeing, are these enjoyable to the point where you feel like you would like playing them multiple times, going through and learning the intricacies and playing them over and over again, maybe with some friends?
Well, there's some other stuff in here that we'll have video of later, which is Fellwinter Peak, and that's a new social area, and there's Archon's Forge, which is a kind of area where you do public group events.
Those were always fun.
Yeah. And then they've added like a chest mechanic to strikes, so you can also have the added bonus of earning high-end stuff from the chests in the strikes, and that stuff's cool. I mean, that's the draw for me. Is that trying to get your character to a certain level to where you can play the raids on the hardest levels.
Yeah,
and that stuff's not easy. I've had to be pulled through quite a few of those strikes by players that were much higher level than I was.
And this is adding a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Like you're getting a lot of different weapons, exotics, and all that, and gear. Is it raising the level cap again?
I believe, yeah. I think it's raised up to going to be up to 42.
Mm.
I believe. Not 100% of that. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Were you able to play this with your actual character, or did they give you a character?
No, they gave me a character that was kind of like my character. My character wasn't quite leveled up enough to take this stuff on, I'm guessing. And I kind of ripped through a lot of this story mode with the character that they did give me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of set up the same way, scout rifle, Titan. But they put different, equipment on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can see here, like fighting this Sepix, it's the same Sepix that's from the original beta. I don't know if you remember that. They've just kind of reskinned him as a
the like giant
enemy.
eye.
Yeah, that you fight in the strike.
Yep.
If you remember,
I do remember that. Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of getting right into it right now, and this will probably bring back memories. Like Sepix Perfected is one of the new strikes. You could see like the world has been kind of like you can see the Siva.
Yeah, is this
on the maps? This is the same strike basically,
but with snow.
But with it's just a little bit different, right? So you've got a couple different mechanics in here, but you got a chance to see a little bit of the Devil Splicers. This will be more Devil Splicers than we saw in the last in the single player mission. So as you remember, like this part of the level where you have to take down the wall, and you have to hold out for a little while. I mean, I've played this strike probably 100 times.
Yeah, this is really familiar.
Because it was in the beta, first and foremost, and then like after that, play it anytime it came up on the strike list, or and sometimes it's one of the easier ones to do, I think.
So what makes this different that they are including this in the expansion?
What makes it different?
Yeah, wasn't this still available?
Yeah, it was still available. It's different. It's just different. Like you'll see as we go from piece to piece, it's just the Devil Splicers are here, so the enemies are different. But the kind of challenges that you had to face as you went through this is the one where you open up the doors that's got the beams covering it, and then if you recall, like after you leave this area, there would have been the tank, like the spider tank.
Yep.
And you would fight that as a group and take it down. Well, there isn't that. That's not there anymore. It's just a giant group of enemies. And then after you beat those enemies, you just go right into fight Sepix Perfected. So it is and it isn't exactly the same.
Okay.
It's kind of the same. You are going through a very familiar area. And they've just kind of changed some things around so that people aren't like, this is the same. Which, I mean, honestly, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just, put out there as kind of a little freebie, like, hey, you guys like this mission, here's an altered one that's themed after the new Rise of Iron, but people who don't buy Rise of Iron aren't going to be able to play this, right?
I don't believe, no.
Okay. I like that people still play with emotes, though. Are emotes bigger now? Didn't they add microtransactions?
They did, yeah. They added some microtransactions to the game. That stuff seems pretty harmless for the most part.
Yep, all cosmetic stuff.
But, it's not necessarily that gets me. New Strikes for me is one of the things that I do a lot of because it's one of the things that you can actually group up with other people to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like having variety of those is kind of important to a player like me at least, because obviously the people who get the most out of Destiny are the ones who have big groups who can play the raids.
Yeah.
And having to use like a third-party service to do that kind of sucks. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about this game that I don't necessarily love, but for whatever reason, I do continue to play it just because I enjoy the the building of the characters and the progression stuff that is in here. And I enjoy the questing systems that they put in as well. Like, it's not quite as rough around the edges as it was probably when you played it last. Now there's a lot of like ways to track your progress, multi-step quests where you have to go from place to place to place, which gives you a reason to go back and forth between all these places that you've been before.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more streamlined, and I like that about it. So,
do you feel like Rise of Iron is adding to the things that you really? I mean, I don't know how much you're able to talk about the whole expansion, or are we just focusing on this story stuff?
Well, these are the strikes. We're allowed to talk about the strikes right now. I think it's just we can't show video.
Okay. So, I mean, is it adding more of the stuff that you're really into, or is it just kind of a little bit of padding, enough to kind of get people to buy another expansion and a level boost?
You know,
or are you feeling
my
like this?
impressions of that stuff is embargoed.
Okay.
We are just talking about story, Kyle. And
All right.
as far as the story goes, I would say it's probably the weakest aspect of Destiny. It has been for, I think, the life of this game.
How does this stack up with the other expansions that have come out so far?
In terms of size or quality, I mean, I think they're all around the same amount of quality, but in terms of size, I guess it's probably somewhere between House of Wolves and The Taken King.
Okay.
But there is a lot of other stuff that they've already announced, like the private matches and the Crucible. I mean, that's where I think people get the most bang for their buck with this game. It's people that are just looking at this from a story perspective. You're really not going to get that much out of Destiny.
Yeah.
So here's one of those new chests for the strike, and I don't have the key to get in here, so I don't get anything.
Does no one have it, or did the other guys have it?
I don't know. We weren't really talking. We were just kind of playing together. So, but I mean, there are a few missions in here. Quite a few of them are memorable in the story components, and we're gonna see the second strike here. I could only show the first level. I mean, it does open up into some pretty interesting conversations with Lord Saladin and some really, really good cinematics that we weren't allowed to show that kind of go with that initial story stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think they've kind of improved on that quite a bit since Vanilla Destiny. But
these mountain environments are pretty nice.
Yeah, and this is all. I mean, I was kind of hoping, I think, along with everybody else, like a new planet.
Yeah.
You know,
people have been waiting for that one for a while.
Yeah. I guess the Cosmodrome kind of, you know, it's off far enough from like the main area that, you know, it feels like a new place. The Plaguelands, it's kind of where, I don't know if you remember when they were talking about this game or this expansion when they first announced it, but they had a wall and it was kind of sounded like not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this new social area is kind of up on this wall that you have to kind of take back, and that's part of, you know, the story stuff that you do in the first mission, though we can't really show that social area just yet. But we'll have some footage of it, you know, in a couple of days when they lift the embargo on it. So this second strike is brand new. So this is an entirely new strike. They've got new enemies in here, a lot of splicers, some different platforming elements where you're kind of having to figure out where to go. It's an interesting level. I think they've kind of taken some design cues from the raids.
Okay.
In terms of like progression. But for the most part, it is still pretty straightforward. It's not quite as confusing or puzzling as a raid, but there's just some
there's no moments where like all of you have to
wait. Yeah, communicate. You can definitely do this without talking.
Okay.
We did. So
weren't you guys in the same room?
We were sitting right next to each other. But we had headphones on without without heads.
Without mics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Without mics.
All right. I'll give you a pass then.
Yeah. So, yeah, all I'm allowed to show today and talk about is that King of the Mountain mission, the Devil's Lair, and this Wretched Eye Strike. So,
Okay.
I mean, I would say that this strike is probably, another decent one. There's a lot of good strikes in Destiny. I think I have a lot of fun playing those, especially on the harder skill levels.
Not one of your tippy top ones? Not like...
I only played it once, so it's kind of hard to get everything out of it with just that. And it was good. I had a good time with it, for sure. The end boss, you know how they all have end bosses, pretty much. Mm-hmm. The end boss is pretty fun to play. It's kind of crazy. You'll see. I have some video of it here shortly.
Okay.
But,
I mean, the gist I'm getting is, if you're still playing Destiny and you're still
that is the gist, Kyle. They have not done anything to bring new people into this game.
Yeah, they're not aiming for people like me that dropped out. They're not aiming for people who have never played Destiny. This is just, boom. What is this? Year 3? It's like year 3. If you're still playing in year 2,
Destiny 2 isn't ready yet.
You're gonna like year 3.
Yeah. But there's a large community of people that are still playing this game because those progression elements and, the raid stuff is pretty fucking good.
Yeah. The gunplay, I do miss that gunplay. Like, it is so smooth.
It just is great.
Bungie knows how to do it. How to get those... I don't know what it is. I can't describe it, but it just... Even just seeing this, I'm just like, I can feel it. Like, the way that these guns work and the way that you fight enemies in Destiny is still just really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty... It's the smoothest shooter on the market today, in my opinion. I just love everything about, the gameplay aspect of this. Mm-hmm. So this is the, kind of like the end boss fight. As you can see, it's another giant ogre.
That's pretty cool looking, actually.
Yeah. And,
Why would you examine him? No, you did it wrong.
Free him! And you'll fight this guy, which kind of looks like Araxis, I think his name was. One of the Kel. I forget. You probably remember that.
No, it's gone.
It's all
gone. It's gone.
You forgot all about Destiny.
Yep.
You should get back into it. We could play some strikes and raids.
Oh man, I don't think so.
Why?
I'm still like a level 20 or something. It'd be like starting all over. That is, like, I think I asked you, and I don't know if you got to ask them, but, like, how does one get back? If someone wanted to get back into Destiny, do they just buy Rise of Iron and hop back in? I think there's a bundle.
I'm pretty sure you have to have, like, Destiny to play Rise of Iron. It's just an expansion.
Yeah. But do you need, like, all the expansions in between? I think that there's a bundle of them.
I don't think you need all the expansions in between. I think you can kind of mix and match them at this point. Pretty sure.
You just be locked out of a few missions then?
Yeah, there's definitely, like, some stuff that if players don't buy Rise of Iron, they'll be locked out of,
Was private matches. Private matches is being added in the update with Rise of Iron, but I don't think you have to buy it to get them.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like year 2. But, that stuff's added alongside new game modes, new maps, stuff like that, So, like, for me, we'll talk more about Crucible in another video. But, yeah, I mean, they're just kind of still refining this game for the people who like it. Like, for the people who don't like it, they're not sitting there biting their nails going, how do we fix this for you?
Yeah.
Like,
I really wish
they
that
don't love
we could
you, Kyle.
Yeah, I wish
They
we could
don't
get
love
player
you.
numbers because they were touting some pretty high sales numbers.
I don't. I really don't doubt it. There are tons of people playing this game. Go into any forum, the Destiny looking for group forums. You're always going to be finding people looking for a game, trying to play raids together. Uh, it, I mean, that was as recent as a few months back. They're still not. They're definitely not doing matchmaking. Anytime soon.
That's for
So
raids, at least. Is it
yeah,
for
well, I
other?
mean, they always have strikes.
Yeah.
And they have matchmaking, obviously, in the Crucible,
Yep.
and they have group ups for local players and all that stuff. But like, there's just to get more people involved, you would need. I think that's one of the things probably that needs to be done is like some sort of matchmaking for raids, because that would make shit a hell of a lot funner. Even though sometimes you're gonna get a bad one,
Yeah. I think people playing online are used to that.
I saw it firsthand, getting ready, prepping to go to Bungie. I was looking to try and level up my character, and I was doing some high-level stuff with random people on the internet, and there was a lot of quitting and a lot of people just backing out of the game and leaving you stuck high and dry, and that would suck, like progressing an hour through the raid and then somebody's got to go. So, and they're not talking anyway, and just, yeah. So, well,
Yeah.
as little as we could talk about for Rise of Iron, that was the first mission and a couple of strikes that will be included in the upcoming Destiny expansion. For Kyle, I'm William. You can find a written preview of Rise of Iron on attackofthefanboy.com, and in the days to come, there'll be more Destiny Rise of Iron coverage on the site, which will include some footage of Fellwinter Peak, the new social area, and some Crucible matches on the new maps that they're putting out. Thanks for watching.
And if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe down below. Thanks.